Happy Sunday, everybody. It's your boy, Dino, the Fantasy Guru. Welcome to the Sunday stream. We will get started in just a moment. Happy Sunday, everybody. It's your boy, Dino, the Fantasy Guru. Live Sunday, week 12. Week 12. There are 2 more weeks left of the fantasy regular season. Hope everybody's doing well. It's been one hell of a season. Uh, I'm doing okay with my leagues. I hope you're doing okay in yours. Uh, at this point in the fantasy season, it's time to start maneuvering to prepare for the playoffs if you are in contention. I know most of you are probably fighting for that last playoff spot. Not many teams have separated from the pack, so to speak. But just some tips and tricks to prepare your team for the playoffs, right? So what you want to do now is you want to get rid of the dead weight on your bench. There are some players on your bench that don't really serve a purpose other than a handcuff. It's one of those speculative plays. It would have happened by now. It's probably not going to happen this late in the season. I would get rid of those players on your bench and try to find handcuffs. Try to find second stringers to support your starting roster. I believe we're through all of the bye weeks. I believe this is the last week of bye weeks. And so from here on out, all of the teams will be in action, so all the players will be available to deploy. And you want to make sure you have your starters supported in case of injury, especially late in the season going into the playoffs. I will add another nugget as far as the playoffs are concerned. I think for the next couple of weeks, we're really going to start focusing on talking about playoffs on the live stream. In playoff scenarios, typically your starters aren't the ones that kind of go off. It's usually your second and third string players that tend to produce this late in the season for multiple reasons. I believe one, the defenses are adjusted to the offenses. That's fucking tongue twister. But a lot of teams adjust, and what happens is the offensive coordinators trying to get cute and start focusing more on their W2 or their running back 2, getting them more involved in the offense. So therefore, the production that you would normally get from starters is going to decrease. Therefore, enhancing the value of these second and third stringers. So that's kind of what you want to start looking out for in the next couple of weeks. Get those guys on the roster and in place before the playoff starts. And now I have a little grievance about the playoffs. And my grievance is, like I've always said, once the playoff starts and you are not a part of those playoffs, you should not be putting in waiver claims. If you're in the league and they allow this shit, I would leave the league immediately. No one should be picking up players if they're not in the playoff bracket. If you haven't talked to your commissioner about that rule setting, I will start pitching that shit now so that you can make the change before the playoffs. Because I would hate for you to get in the playoffs and need to pick up a player because you had an injury and some jackass in the consolation ladder picked up the player that you needed to get. And it's happened. It's happened to me. That's why I'm so pissed about it. And I talk about it every year ad nauseum that this should be mandated across all fantasy leagues. Once you get into the playoffs, the waivers should lock only for players in the playoff bracket. Okay, I'm off my soapbox, but let's talk about week 12 since we're here. I'm on a little early today. I know I've been kind of pushing right up against that noon kickoff time, so I figured I'd come in a little earlier and open up the stream. Again, it's open format. I'm available for start-sit questions. If you're in the chat, I'll respond to the chat. If I miss the chat on the stream, I will check it after, and I will respond hopefully in enough time for you to make that roster change. But as you see, I have Jonathan Taylor up on the screen. The reason I have Jonathan Taylor up on the screen is, as I mentioned before about production in this time of year in fantasy, which you typically get out of the starters. I feel like this is kind of the point where Taylor's production is going to kind of take, not necessarily a nosedive, but it's going to peel back a bit. Those 200-yard, 3-touchdown production guys, I don't think we see those the rest of the season. I believe that the defenses are going to adjust and try to take Jonathan Taylor away and force Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones, to get the wins, right? So his production is going to drop a bit. So take that for what it's worth, apply it, because I fully believe that's going to happen. Not just Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, all the other top 5 backs, Bijan. But Bijan is more of a product of a shitty offense. And now that Kirk Cousins is now taking the hit for the rest of the year with Penix out, his production is going to drop because they're going to force Kirk Cousins to beat him. See where I'm going? Anywho, I also believe that Jonathan Taylor is the MVP of the league this year, although he won't get it. He'll get Player of the Year. They're more than likely to give it to a quarterback. They rarely give it to a running back. The last running back to win MVP was Adrian Peterson. What was that, 17 years ago, 2012? Just like Saquon should have won last year. He got player of the year and they gave the damn MVP to Josh Allen. So at this point, I'm going to say, I hate to say it, your MVP is probably going to be Matthew Stafford. Oh, great beard. I think it's going to be Matthew Stafford, to be honest. They're going to give it to a quarterback. Mahomes is not getting it this year. Just based on the trend with the Chiefs, I don't believe the Chiefs should make the playoffs, but I know how the NFL works, and I promise you, the Chiefs will find a way to get into the playoffs. But that shouldn't garner the MVP for Patrick Mahomes. Although he started the season well, I think that run with that team is coming to an end. And I've been saying it for the last year and a half. I think that's going to happen. As far as fantasy is concerned, he's had some good numbers this year. Josh Allen's numbers have kind of tapered off. And I was worried after the 6 touchdown performance, how would he come back on Thursday? And to my shock, he laid an egg. And I kind of warned people that was going to happen. And I believe he had no touchdowns Thursday. He only had 8 fantasy points. And this is the thing that I warn people about going into the playoffs is you see those projections and you see what they've been doing, but you got to understand when you get into the playoffs, it's later in the season, defenses have adjusted. It's going to be other players that get you to the promised land. So it's going to be how strong your bench is, how good are your handcuffs, what is the weather like? That's another thing I didn't mention. It's time to start paying attention to weather. It's late November. We're going to start getting into snow and wind, right? Obviously, you're not going to pick a fucking kicker that's kicking in the goddamn snowstorm, right? Putting this terrible wind swirling, etc. You don't want to pick a quarterback that his strength is throwing down the field when there's shitty weather. These are just the things you have to think about. You have to plan ahead. Start looking at the schedule and the playoff weeks. Week 15, 16, 17. Start looking at that shit now. Get ahead of it while you have time. Because I'm sure there are other players that are doing the exact same thing I'm telling you. They're getting ahead of it and positioning their rosters for those particular weeks. So you may see a waiver claim and be like, why the hell is he picking up this person? Go look at the schedule. He's probably got a light schedule through the playoff weeks. So he's just picking up now. And now he's wasting a waiver claim. So that's something to add too. But yeah, I think Jonathan Taylor is going to win. Well, should win the MVP. If he's not, they're going to give it to a quarterback. It'll probably be Matthew Stafford. Let's move on to the other talking point, which is all over the headlines. Shedeur Sanders is going to get his first NFL start today. Hope the hell he got some reps this time. No pun intended. But I think Shedeur Sanders needs to get the hell out of Cleveland. As we all know, Cleveland is a place where quarterbacks go to die, right? And the sad part about Cleveland is they're literally wasting Myles Garrett, who's probably like the greatest edge rusher ever. No disrespect to the other top pass rushers, but that dude is a monster, right? And Cleveland ain't even sniffing a Super Bowl, let alone the playoffs, and they're just literally wasting this man's prime. Now, you can say in hindsight, he decided to re-sign there, so it's partially his fault. I agree. However, at some point, the shitty teams become good. This is parity. This is what the NFL is known for. Even in fantasy, some shitty fantasy players all of a sudden become good, right? And then what we try to do is get ahead of it and get those players before they go off. What typically happens is we get them after they go off, and then they nosedive, right? So the object of this is to get ahead of things. As you see the theme of the show, get ahead of shit. Don't play pocket pool. Get ahead of shit. So if you are watching this stream and you get off, you should be hearing me saying to you, get ahead of shit. That's the thing for today. But yeah, I think Shedeur needs to get the hell out of Cleveland. I thought the Raiders would have been a good landing spot for him because he would have had those 2 tight ends to throw to take the pressure off. He would have had Gentry as a running back. That would have been a nice 1-2 tandem to start rebuilding that team. they just picked the wrong damn coach. The game is past. OP weeks drove by. Um, there was no reason to hire him if you're going for a rebuild. You might as well just blew the whole thing up. Got you a young coach. You got a stud rookie running back. You got an up and coming quarterback that needs a little more refinement, but good enough. Obviously, could have been doing better than what Geno Smith is giving you right now in Vegas. But that's my 2 cents. So let me copy the link to the stream in case anyone wants to join. Let's see. I always forget where the hell I put that thing. Bear with me. All right, I'm gonna put this into the chat. All right, and there's the link. If you just click that link, you'll come backstage, and then I'll bring you on, and you can add me whatever you want. Start switch, start sit, questions, comments, concerns, suggestions for the show, suggestions for topics, anything you want to talk about. Your boy's here for you. It is now almost 11:30, so we're about 30 minutes out from kickoff. If you haven't checked the rosters, I would do that now. That happened to me last week. I had a late injury pop up, and I didn't get him out of my lineup in time. So, unfortunately, it didn't stop me from winning that week, but just something to keep in mind. So I'm going to leave this stream running for a few minutes. I'll be right back, and when I come back, we're just going to run through today's slate and talk about any notable injuries in today's action. So thanks for joining. Again, this is Dino, the Guru, the Fantasy Guru is. Comment, share, like, subscribe if you haven't. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So let's go ahead and run through today's schedule and talk about these games, right? Again, it's your boy, Dino, the Fantasy Guru. Thank you for joining me this Sunday morning. It is week 12. We're almost at the promised land. It's been a long season. It's been a long season. But as we know, Thursday night game was the Houston Texans and the Buffalo Bills. And the Buffalo Bills laid an egg, as predicted. And Houston got the win 23-19. Josh Allen with 0 touchdowns, 8 fantasy points. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see that. Oh, share my screen. My apologies, folks. Give me 1 second. Let me get that done for you. Okay. So, next game, we got Steelers at the Bears. Steelers at the Bears. That game is going to be interesting. I'm not sure how much wind is going on in Chicago, but I know that weather's getting ready to get shitty up there. Aaron Rodgers will not start today. It'll be Mason Rudolph will get the start for the Steelers today. So I expect a lot of check downs, a lot more action for those tight ends. I believe Jaylen Warren is also good to go. He will be playing in that game as well. I expect it to be a low-scoring game with the quarterback play, especially on Pittsburgh's side. I believe it'll be a low-scoring game. I'm just interested to see the production between DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, who's kind of cut into his carries. I'm a bit worried. I did actually make a trade for DeAndre Swift about 3 weeks ago. DeAndre Swift for Michael Pittman Jr. It was a very even trade, helped both teams. But that trade hasn't quite worked out as well as I thought for me, because as soon as I made that trade is when Kyle Monangai decided to go off for 175 yards. And ever since then, every time I flip to the Bears game, guess who's in the backfield? Not DeAndre Swift's ass, right? So that's something that I'll be watching that game. But let's move on to the next game. We have the Patriots at the Bengals. There was rumblings that Joe Burrow would reemerge as the starter coming off that toe injury. He is not. It will be Joe Flacco back at the helm this week. And as you all know, Speedy McGee, Jamar Chase is suspended for that game for spitting on Jalen Ramsey. Hey, you know what? Let me. I hate to do this shit. But let me go on this soapbox real quick. Okay, what the hell is going on with players spitting? Yeah, I mean, besides smacking a man with the backside of your hand, spitting on a man is probably like the most disrespectful shit you can do. And for some odd reason, this is like second or third time it's happened this year. And I don't get it. I mean, there's cameras literally everywhere. Everybody's got a cell phone. There's a fucking camera in the sky, right? Watching everything in 8K probably. Can tell you what you had for lunch. Hey, you got a thread loose on your jersey. That's how good these cameras are. What the fuck makes you thought nobody was gonna see you spit on this dude? And now you're suspended for a game. So if you are a Jamar Chase owner, I feel your frustration, because now what's gonna happen? Cincinnati clearly is not gonna make the playoffs. And what's gonna happen is the East is gonna shut it down. He's still gonna get paid regardless, right? So why go and ball out to just sit at home in a couple of weeks? I can go and post it. I can half-ass it. I'm not really gonna try. Oh, that ball's over the middle. I'm a Gator one, right? So if you are a Jamar Chase owner, just be warned that production is not gonna be there. Even if Joe Burrow came back, which I don't believe he does come back this season, it's pointless. They're not going to make the playoffs. Why risk re-injury just to put Joe Burrow back there? It's done. You might as well just ride Flacco for the rest of the season. And I would actually re-sign Flacco, as we know Joe Burrow tends to be injury prone. The same mistake that the Vikings made, and now they're dealing with that. But we'll address that when we get to the Vikings game. But I'm off my soapbox. I'm just pissed that Jamar Chase did that dumbass shit and got suspended. And the fact that now we're getting close towards the playoff time, and he could potentially just shut down for the year. I'm just saying. Don't be surprised if it happens. Moving on to the next game, we have the Giants and the Lions. The Lions The Lions are in trouble, even though no one wants to admit it. The reason that the Lions are in trouble is because Jared Goff has got those happy feet again. If you remember how he played out in Los Angeles the last few years, you put pressure on this dude, he's chucking it, or he's popping them off, and now he's doing it again. We're seeing happy feet, and the problem when he gets happy feet, everybody suffers, right? That means Amon-Ra St. Brown, his production's going to drop. Uh, Laporta, his production's going to drop. The only person that won't be directly affected, but will be in the passing game, obviously, is Jahmyr Gibbs. Um, they gonna have some problems in Detroit. You watch and see. I know Dan Campbell took over the play calling duty, but the last few games I watched, it's kind of good. Yeah, Gibbs went off that one game, but they're not gonna be able to do that every game because what's gonna happen is they're gonna just keep pressuring Goff, and he's gonna keep chucking the ball up the ground. So he's gonna have more turnovers, and you're gonna get less targets for those Lions receivers. So I do expect their production to also take a dip. So going forward with the Lions, I believe that those players are actually matched up a bit. Although yes, you're starting Gibbs and you're starting St. Brown regardless because they're top 10, right? You just start them and you don't think about it. But just understand that production's going to take a dip. Next game we have the divisional game. We have the Vikings and the Packers. Both teams desperately need to win. Josh Jacobs, I believe, is not going to play today. Emmanuel Wilson gets to start. Here's the thing about Emmanuel Wilson. A lot of people put in waiver claim for him, obviously thinking knowing Jacobs is going to be out. But from what I've read, the knee injury is not severe. It's not season ending, nor is he on IR. It's a week-to-week thing. So be mindful wasting waiver claims this late in the season for a rental, right? Obviously, if you're fighting for a playoff spot and you absolutely have to win this week, by all means, put in the waiver claim. But I had a chance to get Wilson. I had the number one waiver claim in one of my leagues. I'm already in first. I'm already in the playoffs. There was no need to go chasing a rental just because he was there. Because now what happens is you weaken your bench for rental. As soon as Jacobs is ready, he's back in there. And Wilson is back to getting 3 or maybe 4 fantasy points max per week. That's just something you shouldn't do. And I've seen a lot of people do that this week, and it's going to bite them in the ass. You watch. But another concerning thing with the Packers is obviously Jordan Love's inconsistent. I'm still not sold on Jordan Love. I mean, he's a solid quarterback, but I don't think he's going to be part of that Packer lineage. He's not going to be the next Brett Favre or the next Aaron Rodgers. I just don't see it. It's too inconsistent. I don't really know like what his strength is. I couldn't tell you like, oh yeah, he's this. You just can't. Just think about it. You can't pick a Packers receiver and be confident that he'll get you 15 fantasy points every week. You can't pick one, right? It's like Russian roulette of wide receivers. You just never know. Christian Watson's back. Yeah, he might go have 80 yards, and then the next week he can have 8. It's so inconsistent. And that's something I said that in my draft strategy show. And I looked at the Packers and said, the only person I want from the Packers is Josh Jacobs. It's the only person that I can promise you and guarantee will get double-digit fantasy points every week. And I believe that's played out. Josh Jacobs, I believe, has had double-digit fantasy points every week with the exception of last week when he got injured. And there was another week, I believe, he only had 8 fantasy points. He's been double digits all year. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, as far as the Vikings, which I mentioned earlier, your boy J.J. McCarthy, who, again, I'm not sold on. I never was. He's a system quarterback, right? He's a product of the people around him. He doesn't make other people better around him, like a Tom Brady did, right? Tom Brady also went to Michigan. Tom Brady wasn't a high draft pick. Now, I'm not a Tom Brady fan, but respect is respect. He made basic people good, right? Now, yes, it could have been the play calls. It could have been a little bit of cheating. We've seen it all. But JJ McCarthy does not evoke that type of player that's going to elevate the players around him. He's just a guy. He could be like one of those backups that just bounces from team to team, right? But the Vikings went all in when they should have folded. They had their quarterback in the building. Actually, they had two quarterbacks in the building because they had Daniel Jones also last year. And both of those quarterbacks were flourishing on other teams. And the Vikings are kind of screwed. They screwed the hoops. Let's just say that. They screwed the hoops. Excuse me. But that's going to be an interesting game today. Divisional games are always fun. They're usually competitive. They're rarely blowouts in division games. And like I said, late in the season, both teams need to win. Because right now they're looking up at the Lions and the Bears. So both teams need to win. So let's go to the next game. Next game, Seattle at the Titans. This game may be over at halftime with that Seattle defense. The thing I hate about these games is you see the juicy matchup, and so you put your players in, you think, oh, they're going to go off. And what happens is they don't. The thing is the team gets up so fast, and at that point, they just trying to kill the clock and get out of there, right? So, same thing happened a few weeks ago when Seattle beat the brakes off. I forgot who they might have been Carolina. One of those teams, they beat the brakes off of, I believe it was like 30-0 at halftime or some shit. And JSN got nothing in the second half. Darnold got nothing in the second half. So something to think about when you see these juicy matchups. Don't think about your starters. Think about your second stringers. If your second stringer, your backups, may actually have a better fantasy day than the starters because of the blowout factor. That's just something to keep in mind because I'm believing this is going to be a fucking blowout. So if you are a Charbonnet owner, if you have AJ Barner, I believe he's a tight end. If you got a flex spot, I would toss those guys in. They should have a pretty decent day because it's going to be a blowout. So those players are going to play in the third and fourth quarters and get a lot of garbage points. Okay. Moving on, we got the Colts and Chiefs. Chiefs need this win. Obviously, they're 5-5, and they're fighting to get in the playoffs. I couldn't tell you how this game plays out. I know I said earlier in the show that Jonathan Taylor's production was going to start tapering off, and you will see it today because I believe Spagnuolo is going to try to take Taylor out of the game. And they're going to put it on Daniel Jones. So that means Tyler Warren, Mike Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, they're going to be the go-to. So those are the guys that are going to put up points today. I would expect just a mild game from Jonathan Taylor. He's still going to get his touches, right? He's still going to get 15, 20 touches. But I don't think he goes off like 120 yards. I believe JT probably ends up there around 70, 80 yards max, in my opinion. As far as the Chiefs, it may be too soon, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think Xavier Worthy is a bust. He reminds me too much of John Ross. You remember John Ross had like a 4.2 at the combine, and everybody was excited. But he just wasn't a polished receiver, right? His hands were shit. He ran terrible routes. And the thing with Worthy, I'm saying, is like he's kind of a one-trick pony. It's just down the field. I've never seen him run a slant. I've never seen him run an out. Everything is a go or a fly or a flag or a post. He doesn't run enough routes to garner targets. And this is fantasy football we're talking here. You want targets, right? He doesn't get enough targets. And I dropped him. I had him in one league and I dropped him. Like he's just not what they tried to make him be, right? He's not it. He's just fast, okay? Like a Valdez Scanlon, which the Chiefs already had, and they got rid of him. So take him out and put in Xavier Worthy, and you get the same shit, right? Same shit, different toy, so to speak. Moving on, we have the Jets and the Ravens. The Ravens are coming on. I hate to say it, but the Ravens are still going to win that damn division after starting 1-4. The Steelers The Steelers got old, as they say. They were already old, and they went and got a bunch of old players, and now it's late in the season, and they are looking pretty old. Uh, Ravens should go ahead and take care of business. Justin Fields was benched, shocker. Um, kind of too late now. I know I put out a short about Justin Fields that he should switch the running back. I still believe he should switch the running back. To me, he is a running back trying to play quarterback instead of a quarterback that can run. So think about a Michael Vick, right? Super athletic, fast as shit, but had a cannon for a horn. They're the same player, but Vick was a better quarterback. Vick could pass, right? Vick could throw, he can make all the throws. But he can also take off and run. So Fields obviously can't switch to wide receiver. He doesn't have a hand. He's big enough to handle the load of being a running back. So I'm not sure why someone hasn't tapped him on the shoulder like, hey, bud, you know there's this position called running back you can play. I think you actually flourish. Because he's got jets and he's got the size. I don't know why that hasn't happened yet, but TBD, maybe it will happen soon. Moving on to the next game, we have the Browns and the Las Vegas Raiders. So we have Crosby versus Myles Garrett. So I expect a lot of sacks in this game. So you have IDBs, get them players in your lineups. It's going to be a lot of turnovers, a lot of sacks. As far as points, I'm not sure. I just don't know what the hell they're doing in Vegas. You know, you got Brock Bowers, you got Xanthi, but outside of that, it's like, I don't know. I don't know where the points are coming from. I can't lie, I was a little intrigued when they signed Geno Smith, looking them back up with Pete Wee show, Pete Carroll, but that shit hasn't had at all. Geno has converted into the Jets version of Geno, which is fucking dumpster juice. And now all the pass catchers and Vegas are feeling the letdown of having Geno at the helm. And they didn't really address their quarterback situation in the offseason. It's even more surprising, right? The Browns, as you know, I said earlier, Shedeur Sanders will be getting the start today. It's his first start. I don't expect much better outing than he showed last week. I just don't think he's got enough reps. I believe Cleveland is self-sabotaging Shedeur Sanders, and he should definitely get the fuck out of Cleveland any way possible. If anybody comes talking trade, take it. Or just sit to his phone rings. Like, that is not the place for him. I firmly believe that. But I am going to be trying to keep an eye on this game. Tongue twister. I will be trying to keep an eye on this game today to see how he performs. But I don't expect much out of him. Judkins is kind of coming back to earth a bit with his fantasy production, but he's a solid back. That's definitely somebody I'm going to be targeting next season. Look at me, I'm already thinking about next season. Judkins is someone I'm definitely going to target next season. He could be in one of those bell cow situations, like a McCaffrey and like a Josh Jacobs or Derrick Henry, where they just get the lion's share of the carry. The second basically comes in to get them free. Moving on to the next game, we have Jacksonville and Arizona. I believe Maserati Morgan is out for this game, so expect a big game from Trey McBride. Brissett, again, is at the helm for Cardinals. Jacksonville has been kind of slowly, quietly making a move up. I'm still not sold on Sunshine. I took a stab at Parker Washington, and I was guilty of my own advice, right? So I didn't get Parker Washington before he went off. I got him after he went off, and then he proceeded to lay 2 eggs. So get it on me, right? Not much more I can give you from that particular game. Next game, we got Philly at Dallas. It's not going to be a shootout. Dallas did get some defenders back recently, so that's going to help them just a bit, but not much. Like I said, these divisional games, You just never know how they're going to go. But I tell you, they are always competitive. Um, what I'm interested to see is how if Philly can put up more points, because that's going to be their problem. And again, that's going to affect your wide receivers and your tight ends and then your back. Because I know Saquon hasn't even caught very many balls this year as he did last year. And that was the appeal with Saquon, is that dual threat running back. He gets you points receiving and rushing. So I expect him to pick up the pace in the next few weeks going into the playoffs, which is good. I do have several shares on Saquon, and I'm going to ride pause. I would like to ride that wave of production right into the playoffs and into the championship. So if you're a Saquon owner, fingers crossed that production increases, because it had been a letdown from last year. As far as Dallas is concerned, I'm not sure how much money George Pickens is going to ask for, but Jerry, you better start negotiating now. He's got the same agent as Michael Parsons. Just saying, you might want to start negotiating now, because you're gonna have to throw the bag at Pickens, because Pickens been playing his ass off since he's got to Dallas. It's amazing what the change of scenery would do. He's a complete enigma in Pittsburgh. He still does goofy shit every now and then, kind of like Jameson Williams. That irritates me. It's like all the after the play shit is unnecessary. Like, you're good enough, you don't have to do that. But I guess that's just who they are. But anywho, 3 more games. Let's see, we got about 12 minutes before kickoff. So let's run through these real quick, and we will get out of here. We got the Falcons at New Orleans. Again, no Penix, Kirk Cousins at the helm. Good luck if you own any Falcons players, because they're going to be shit probably the rest of the season. You heard it here first. The Saints, of course, the Saints were the Saints. I thought they wouldn't win any game, let alone 2. But again, it's a divisional game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints won today. And if they do, I'm going to come back, re-rack what I just said, and post it. I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints won today. Saints are in full rebuild mode. I want no parts of any Saints on any of my fantasy teams. In fact, I own 0 Saints across 6 fantasy teams. No shares. No thank you. Sunday night game is going to be good tonight. We got the Bucks and the Rams. Baker against Stafford. Baker's going to need some help here, right? Those injuries are really starting to catch up to Baker and the Bucks. This production is kind of drifted, the last few weeks. I'm not sure if Mike Evans even comes back this year. Buggy Irvin is out again today, so Rashad White and Sean Tucker will split duties. I think Rashad White may have lost his job to Sean Tucker, to be honest. He looks like the better back. Rashad White is just a good complimentary back. I don't believe he's a starting back. And, Sean Tucker is basically both. But the receiving core for Tampa really need to get Mike Evans back. So Godwin, he's a lost cause. I don't believe he comes back either. And but they have basically the same type of receiver. They don't have a big physical receiver. They're all like little slot guys, right? Sterling Shepard, Johnson, they're all like the same receiver. They're all small. And Puka, his production is kind of tailed off. So the Bucks are going to need some help here soon, because then they'll be limping into the playoffs, and I wouldn't expect much. So hopefully they get Mike Evans back soon. As for the Rams, I know Devontae Adams has been dealing with an oblique. I do expect a big game out of Puka today. Today. Old Graybeard, like I said earlier in the show, I think he gets the MVP because he's been putting up massive numbers. I didn't think it would continue, and I benched him the week he had 380 yards and 3 touchdowns. So let me not disrespect, and I think he keeps that streak going. He'll have at least 200 yards and 2 touchdowns today. But that I think that's going to be the best game today. The Bucks and the Rams, that's the best game today. And then your Monday night game, not sure how the hell this ended up on the Monday night schedule. Carolina at San Francisco. Brock Purdy is back, so that is definitely going to help George Kittle. That's his favorite target. Um, if you had Mac Jones, congratulations. I'm sorry, but I think Purdy is going to reclaim that job. And he has. Uh, as far as Carolina has actually surprised me this year. The thing about it, Carolina's been so bad so long, it's hard to look at them as anything relevant as far as fantasy, other than I want to start players that are playing against Carolina. So I think we all have to change our mindset and not see Carolina as the fantasy bye week anymore. That they're actually a decent team. Their defense is better than you think, and you got to start putting some respect on their name. Bryce Young is Bryce Young is grown up a bit this year. I know I talk shit about him, but Bryce Young showed some toughness, and that team might be turning the corner. That might be the Carolina may be the up and coming team for the next season, 26. So I would start scouting some of those guys and just keep an eye on them. I know that McMillan Terratova, you know who I'm talking about, McMillan, the rookie receiver. He's a good one. He's somebody to keep. Leggett, I don't know what to make of him just yet, but time will tell. And that is going to wrap up the live stream today. Oh, 1 second. We got a chat here. Let's see if I can pop that on the screen. All right. So the question is start one for PPR, Kenneth Walker, Jawan Jennings, Travis Kelce. Is this for your flex spot since Bowers is in your tight end one spot? If it's the flex spot, I would go Kenneth Walker Jr. between these three. Just understand that he's not going to have a monster game because he's splitting time with Charbonnet. But I expect a lot of running in that game. I expect Seattle to get out to a big lead. So they're going to be running a lot. So he should get some carries. Walker did have a good week last week. So I think he kind of keeps that going. He, for one, does need to try to save his job because Charbonnet is coming forward. But thank you for the question. I would go with Kenneth Walker between those three players in your flex. And I hope Bowers has a good day too because I have 4 shares of them. All right. So again, everybody, thanks for tuning in to the show this week. And let me get that off the screen. There we go. Yes, everybody, thank you for tuning in. This is week 12. 5 minutes to kick off week 12. Good luck in your lineups. Again, if you have any questions, comments, and concerns, please post them. I do check it quite often and I will respond. Share this content if you enjoyed it or you think it would be beneficial to you or any other your fantasy folks. Again, this is Dino, the Fantasy Guru. I'm out. I will see you guys soon.